Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Today I've got a battle for you on Sleeping Giant Domination Mode. We are in the legendary Japanese battleship Yamato. Although this video isn't so much about the Yamato, I did figure that I ought to feature the ship though, since I've featured the Grosse Kurfürst, one of the OG legendary battleships, so many times and only the Yamato once. But like I said, this video isn't really about the Yamato as much as it is about this map, Sleeping Giant, which seems to be a heavy feature on the map rotation these days. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I play this map quite a lot whenever I jump into some high-tier warships. And throughout all of the experience I've gleaned in playing this map over and over and over again, I think I have a little bit of insight into how it ought to be played, particularly when you spawn on the flank that I have here. Now, most often, and you can tell me what you think in the comments, but most often, this map lends itself into turning into a bit of a flustercuck, or, something along those lines, perhaps a little bit more profane. Anyway, the ships tend to flood one side of the map, and that is usually the side with the Charlie and the Bravo cap. Or rather, the Charlie and the Delta cap. Occasionally, you'll have ships come into the middle of the map, around that Bravo cap, and most of the battle takes place there. I find what is often ignored is this Alpha cap, and when players do enter it, they seem to do so from the entrance nearest the Bravo cap. I have always been of the mind that if you spawn on the flank that I have, your goal should be to go west around the Alpha cap and enter it from there. It's a protective cap, or a protected cap, with those ring of islands around it, and if you're in something with sufficient range, then if you turn into the Alpha cap and you sit in the protection of those islands, oftentimes you can get shots out of the eastern entrance across the map. Crossfires, in other words. We haven't actually reached the Alpha cap yet, and we already do have crossfires. We hit somebody pretty hard already for a Citadel in 21k, and we follow it up there with that Conqueror, hitting him for, looks like an additional 20k, although no Citadels to speak of. We do notice an enemy Yamato has had the same idea that we've had, and he has pushed up to this Alpha cap. He's just around this corner of islands, sitting unspotted, checking behind me to see which ships I have pushing up with me in order to determine what I want to do. And I don't necessarily want to come barreling around this corner. Wasting a spotter plane, no intention to capitalize on the extra accuracy the spotter plane gives the battleship when it's in the air. I just want to keep this enemy Yamato spotted. I want to know what he is doing, and my slowing down is going to allow my two friendly ships to push up forward. Apparently, they're a little bit less cautious than I am. Perhaps not this Conqueror to my left, though. He seems to have thought better of barreling around that corner. Nevertheless, I think he's going to be the first one spotted, and that is going to give me an advantage. Anytime you're going up against another Yamato in your Yamato, or really in any battleship, you have to be concerned about your bow being overmatched. The Yamato can overmatch my bow, and I, of course, can overmatch his bow. Luckily, he hasn't noticed us, and now he's turned into the cap. The Conqueror does get spotted, gets smacked for about half of his health, giving broadside, and then replies to the Yamato with a respectable chunk. At this point, though, they are both engaged, and I am going to turn into this cap and assist the Conqueror. In any case, the Yamato can overmatch its bow. Nevertheless, you do want to point your bow straight at enemy Yamatos if you come up against them close range. What you don't want to do is try to angle. If you do, you expose the side armor under the turrets there, and at an angle like this, it's flat, meaning the Yamato or any battleship really that's close enough and has access to that angle can punch right through that cheek armor and citadel you. On the other hand, you can overmatch the Yamato's stern armor as well and hit them for a lot of chunks. Frankly, that guy was lucky to not be citadeled. The citadel has the same shape in the rear of the ship as it does in the front, which lends itself to being penetrated easily. Nevertheless, that enemy Yamato has been ganged up on by 3 battleships. Not the best battleship in the world at close range. One of the best battleships in the world to shoot at close range, though, because it does eat a lot of damage. We're up to 85k now, as the Yamato has sailed into temporary safety behind this island. His safety is exposed as a farce, of course. He goes down to the guns of one of the battleships in the cap with me. And here, we are now taking the cap unopposed, nobody to contest it, and we have beautiful crossfire shots on 2 Conquerors out there. Unfortunately, this island is going to get in the way, and we're going to have to move forward a little bit more to capitalize on these crossfire shots. We might not actually be able to hit those Conquerors, but there's a GK out there as well, and I think another enemy battleship behind him, all of them giving broadside to this side of the map, which is why this is such a valuable position, and I don't understand why more people don't go for it. Look at the rewards you can reap if you do so. Again, the majority of the enemy team and my team seems to have flooded this side of the map with the Charlie and the Delta caps. It's just me and these 2 other battleships here who chose to follow me, and our position now allows us access to these wonderful broadsides. Hit the enemy Yamato out there for 10k, could have been a lot better, but I think he was angled away slightly. Conqueror looks like he's going to come around the corner. He's got almost no health left. Good chance he's not going to be angled at all. And if he's not dead by the time he gets around that island, then we will surely kill him. But we don't have to, because he goes down. Gross Kurfürst out there appears to be coming to a halt. There are 2 enemy destroyers left on the team roster. I suspect both of them are probably in that Charlie cap and are primarily responsible for flipping it. Doesn't seem like anybody's around to spot me as I enter the Bravo cap. Ideally, we would like to take that, but I believe there is a destroyer now in the gap between these 2 islands because we get spotted. Alternatively, it could have been the enemy Yamato, who still is giving broadside to this side of the map. As such, we hit his citadel and take him down for our first kill of the game. That puts us up to 122,000 damage. Conqueror comes around the corner, gets blapped, sinks instantly, and we are in the cap now, close enough to one of our allies to have the Will to Rebuild perk active, although I don't think we're going to need to make use of it. Alaska disappears. Nevertheless, we were locked on when we released that salvo, and we citadel him, 140k now, taking some shots from a cheeky Atago out there, hiding behind the island. I'd like to get him to stop that, but got bigger problems now. Z23, who looks like he's going to drop spot, but gets reacquired pretty quickly. So hopefully we're going to be able to sink some 18-inch AP shells into his little destroyer hull. We do, 3,200 damage and 2 overpens, and now, as we are on the verge of capping the cap, we potato out of it at the last second and fail to secure it for our team, thereby denying ourselves the valuable XP that would have come from it. Luckily, our teammates secure the cap after our terrible potato move there. Gross occur first? Ah yes, somewhat angled. And that is going to mean that these shots are not going to do as much damage as they otherwise might. I want to keep my bow pointed straight at this GK. He, at ranges like this, is a big danger to me. He could easily punch through that cheek armor and citadel me. But the Alaska drives up behind him, presenting a much juicier target, especially if he's going to turn in and ensure that he takes these shells in a mostly flat broadside, another citadel on the legendary heavy American cruiser. But he's not looking so legendary now after losing that many hit points. Z-23 is back, shooting at the friendly destroyer. Our turrets are not super quick, but I think they're going to be on target just in time for the guns to reload. Z-23 is stationary. Don't be stationary in front of a Yamato like this. That's almost instant death, despite the fact that all of those shots were overpens, although I think it did say one regular pen. Unfortunately, the kill is secured by the friendly Alaska, denying us our second kill of the match, but that's okay, because the game is not about kills. As long as the destroyer is off the board, who cares who gets the destroyed ribbon? Besides, I took more of his HP, so I probably got more XP and more credits from the damage I did to the Z-23. Of course, torpedoes would be on their way. Luckily, we are reversing out of their course, and it looks like we're going to only take one. Damage con is available to us, so we use it. We're down to half health now, but we preserved our hit points for a good portion of this game. The ship count is even, or not quite even. We have 5 ships to their 4, but they still have a destroyer left, which does give them the advantage. By the way, if you were wondering why I was on the mic throughout the course of this game, you can see my name pop up in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. It's because I played this game on Christmas Day 2020, and I thought I would get on the mic and, wish anybody who was listening a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all that. So essentially, that's why I was on the mic. And I think that was just picking up background noise in my living room or something. Anyway, GK pointing his bow at us. If you've looked at the armor viewer of the GK, then you know the bow plating is 50 millimeters, aside from a tiny sliver of armor running up the center of the bow that is 32 millimeters. So effectively, I can't overmatch the bow. Nevertheless, I can aim up a little bit higher and easily take out his guns. If this GK gets close to me, he is going to be able to wreck me. But I don't think he's going to make it that far. In fact, he gets taken down by one of the friendly ships, and this game is just about wrapped up. Only a single destroyer and an enemy cruiser left. And frankly, they don't have enough time to kill us all. So there is an example of a game played on this map where we don't run down the eastern side of the map near the Delta and Charlie caps and flood that section of the map. That seems to happen a lot on this map. Even the people who spawned in the place where I spawn tend to head in that eastern direction and either come into this Bravo area or go all the way around to Charlie and Delta. Not a good play. If you're going to spawn on the western part of the map, I really suggest going around the western side of the Alpha Cap and trying to take it. It really is a valuable position on this map, possibly the most valuable position on this map, because of the opportunities it offers to create crossfires like we did in this game. Now, the remaining enemies are on the Flustercuck side of the map here, the eastern side. I think we're going to come up against their destroyer. We'll see if we can't squeeze out any more damage from these guns, perhaps break the 200k damage mark. before the game ends. But even if we don't, I mean, we've done a respectable amount of damage, and we've done what we needed to do to win the game. So that really is all that matters. Kagero seems to be AFK, and we do take a shot at him, smacking him for 2 overpens, which puts us up to 193,000 damage and gives us the Confederate medal to go along with our high caliber. And look at that, we're about to hit 1,000 points, and the game will end in our victory. So, hope you enjoyed that one in the Yamato on the Sleeping Giant map creating Crossfires. If so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already done that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.